I remember when I told my parents that I was going to, this is like, I can't even imagine being them because it was like, came out of left field when I told them I wanted to be a blogger, which is such a weird, like, it was, I had, I had already been a teacher for 3 years and I'd been considering making this job. And I really felt like I needed to kind of like ask their permission in a way, just because they had helped me get through college. I mean, I had student loans and all that, but like they helped a ton. And it really like, I wouldn't have gone to college, I don't think, if they hadn't done all the things that they did. And so I felt like I was like wasting their effort and money and stuff like that. Right. So I went to my parents' house and we were like just hanging out. I think we were just like drinking beers or something we barbecued or something. But like, I just sat down and I told them, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I started this blog and I want to quit my job and do it full time. And I remember my mom's reaction was like, no. Like she basically just said, that's a terrible, like I can't remember how she said it. I just remember her being really worried about it. Like just being like, that's a terrible idea. Don't do this. Yeah. She was scared, but my dad's reaction was awesome. And I hope it's the way that I react whenever Micah tells me whatever he tells me. He was just like, that's awesome. You should totally do it. Like, it was just like, he had no fears, concerns, doubts about it. He was just like, that sounds awesome. And he's like, do you believe in it? Like, do you think you can make it? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you should do it. So, that made it so much easier to actually, not that you need your parents' permission to do something, but it made it, I didn't feel guilty, going into it. Like, I was just like, okay, now I can just like really focus on this. And then I found out you don't make money blogging for a very long time.
I didn't have reality. A moment like that because I didn't really have this like time where I was like, hey, everybody, this is what I'm doing. Like, it just kind of like happened organically, because even I had the business in law school and then I got out and I was working for the oil company. And so like when I kind of started putting more effort into the business, when Cooper got sick, like the only thing that really happened was I stopped going through the process of applying for like these bigger firm jobs, and so, I remember my dad, was like, hey, are you, or maybe it was after I had left that job. I remember at one point my dad was like, are you looking for part-time work as an attorney? And I was like, there's no such thing as part-time attorney work. And
is it really? I didn't know that. I didn't know there was no such thing.
Not that I know of. Like, there might be, but it was like, that's not what they want. They want a young, if you're a young attorney and you're like still learning, they want you to come in and like grind. And so that was what I was telling him. I was like, there's no such thing as that. Maybe that's wrong. But I guess maybe I had left the oil company because he was bringing that up, but I don't remember them having any reaction. The reaction was like, when I finally got fed up with him asking me that like once or twice a week. And I basically was just like, here's how much money I'm making right now. And it was like way more than he was expecting. And then he was like, oh, okay. But they weren't like not supportive about it or anything. It was just, that nervousness. And then like my dad coming, being an engineer and like always knowing he wanted to be an engineer. And whereas like me, where I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do with my life, just like didn't compute with him. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't have that moment, but I also like, I didn't have like, my student loans were all in my name. Like I didn't feel any like guilt about that. I was just like, I got to own this. I got to pay this off. I got to figure it out. And then Katie was like super supportive about it always. So like almost kind of surprisingly so, because she was kind of floating the bill for a while,
Well, yeah, Coral was too. Coral didn't have any, like, she was just like, yeah, you should do it. Because we were going to go down. We went down to her teaching salary. We weren't even married yet. I think we were about to get married. I can't believe all that stuff. I'd look back on that. I'm like, geez, man, I wonder if I'll have a moment in my life again like that, where like I do some like just wild life decision. Cause like, that was the thing. It was like, it was like, between the time that I decided to quit to when I actually walked in and quit, it was less than 48 hours. It was really, really fast. It was just like, I felt like I wanted to do something. I had a conversation with a friend And I remember texting him. I was sitting in my car in the parking lot. It was like after work one day. Mm-hmm. And I was telling him like, dude, if I just do one more year and I save up this much money, then I'll finally, I'll be able to quit and like start my own thing. And he's just like, dude, you need to do it now. Just do it now. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then I went that night and I talked to Coral about it. And we were still living at her parents' house. We were renting a room from them. Mm-hmm. And I told my mother-in-law that I was going to do it. And she was you could tell she was like, this is a terrible idea. Because I was about to get married to her daughter. So I'm sure that they were like, wow, okay, this is scrub. But I remember her dad I don't remember his reaction. He might have thought it was a bad idea. Maybe not. He was kind of like a free spirit kind of dude. So he was pretty open to things, but it was like that. And then I think the next day I talked to my parents, and then I think that maybe the morning after that, or maybe, I don't know. I remember when I quit though, it was freaking awesome. Cause I didn't really quit. Like, it wasn't like I just like quit and then walked out for good. It was like, I quit and I had like
2 weeks.
I think we had a month of school.
Yeah.
I think it was a full month left, which was the best month ever. Like that month I went in, I told my boss about it. And I remember he was shocked because it was like just him and I left in the band hall. And I was like, hey man,
wasn't he like telling you like how bad of an idea it was like the rest of that?
Not initially, okay. But eventually. Yeah. But he like, so I told him and he was just like, what, you're going to do what? Like, and I was just like, yeah, I'm doing this website thing. And then I remember we walked out together to our cars, and it was like the most awkward walk, like leaving the building together, like in silence. Cause I had just quit. Cause like for him, he had to go find a new director, and like, it's a pain in the ass for him,
sure.
And the kids, it's like when you have a teacher and you got the kids, they know a teacher, is a big transition for him. But then for the next month, man, it was like, I didn't have to go to any meetings. I didn't have to like everything. Like I was in the room. They were interviewing for my position while I was still working. And so like they were doing interviews in the room next to my office.
And you were like, yeah,
it was awesome. But they would come in and talk to me about it. Like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And what do you think about this person? But it was just the most fun. It was like the most fun I had at work. Cause it was like, there was no like stress. It was like it had this weight lifted off my shoulders. And I just like, that was the only time I really enjoyed going to work, when I knew that I didn't have to do anything that anybody told me to do.
All the day-to-day BS that comes with education, that like, you don't have to like, oh, this doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter.